There is more to the revelation made by IBB, the former head of state of the Federal Republic of Nigeria under the military rule. For him to come out without mentioning words and let the cat out of the bag, this had been a conspiracy that was sealed, hidden by the North and the West against the Easterners, most importantly, the Igbos, in quotes. This is quite disturbing for IBB to sum up courage and to speak up, to tell the truth about this false narrative created and sponsored by the political oligarchies who don't want Igbos to rejuvenate, who don't want Igbos to be part and integral part of the Nigerian system, Nigerian economy, and the rest of them. Well, now, let me calm down. Recall, before this time, some groups known as Ohanaeze and Igbo, before the death of Dr. Emmanuel Iwanyanwu, were discussing and making arrangements. Of course, the audio voice was leaked to the public that they were making plans to go and beg the Fulani oligarchs and ask them to forgive them for the killing of Usman Danfodio, or the Sultan of Sokoto then, that Igbos were taking responsibility. These are the mindset of this so-called Ohanaeze Igbo leadership. Not until it was exposed through the leaked audio, and eventually they started hiding, withdrawing their statement that it was just a mere suggestion, and the rest of them, you see, it was silence. Now, if these so-called Ohanaeze leaders have taken that shameful part, have taken so destructive part, insulting the intelligence of the entire Igbo race, if they have gone as they were planning, if not that it was exposed, and they went to take responsibility of what the Igbos never did, that Igbos were the ones, of course, responsible for the 1966 coup that led to the death of some prominent personalities or politicians or spokespersons within the South, within the North and the West. They have already assumed responsibility of such, and we are forcing it on their fellow Igbo countrymen, Igbo nation. What an insult and embarrassment. Now, if they have done that, and eventually a Northerner, an influential personality from the North, the likes of IBB came out now to say that categorically that Igbos were not responsible for the coup. It was not an Igbo coup, as erroneously pushed out, sponsored, and sustained. And the likes of Olusegun Obasanjo, a former military general and a two-time civilian president, could not come out and set the record straight. The likes of Gowon kept mute because of their fear of unknown. They continue to live in their deception, live in their conspiracy and gang up against an innocent race that have done nothing to deserve such level of cruelty, such level of conspiracy that resulted to the annihilation of more than 5 million innocent civilians. Countless of them still being killed as a result of this deceptive conspiracy, propaganda sponsors that Igbos were responsible for the coup. But fortunately, rather, I may say, unfortunately, because millions or several hundreds of thousands of persons has been killed because of this sponsored hatred against the Igbos. What did they intend to achieve? They want other ethnic nationality or regions within Nigeria to see the Igbos as the enemies of the Nigeria, the arch enemy of Nigerian existence. But to the contrary, in contrast, Igbos were the only Nigerian who believed truly in the existence of Nigeria. How do I mean? It is only Igbos that are widely traveled. They are not traveling as becoming a burden to their host communities. Wherever you see them reside, they are light, they contribute, they build, use their resources, hard-earned resources, to build the same society, to attract investment and development in different regions, even in the farthest part of the north. When they are going with the intention to run business and pay taxes to the states as a way of development, contributing to the economic and social development of every region they found themselves. Igbos are known for this, and no one can contest this. It's a known truth, it's established truth, except the person, even the devil, cannot deny this. Unless the person is worse than the devil, a fascist. So this is very clear. What am I saying? Igbos has been misconstrued. Igbos has been ganged up against. Igbos has been erroneously misrepresented by all these happenings, intentionally orchestrated and sponsored by certain vested interests because of their political gains. Ever since they have, of course, sidelined Igbos from the political arena, how far? They have not been able to manage the Nigerian economy. They have been failing repeatedly. Name them, whether they are from the north or from the west. They have been failing repeatedly without missing words. They have been failing repeatedly. They have messed up the entire economy of Nigeria. Prior before this time, when the Igbos were in control of the economic hub, and policy formations and the rest, you saw what was happening. The Nigeria was moving at its own pace, progressively, not retrogressive. But today, Nigeria is sinking abysmally. I think Nigeria has sunk abysmally in terms of economy, because in terms of insecurity, in terms of where you have more than 90% of the populations living below poverty line. Several tens of millions of vulnerable children out of school that Nigerian government could no longer cater for the population of her future generation, could no longer provide solutions, provide the basic economy, the basic education that will prepare her children to live a more responsible life, contributing to the development of the society and at large the world. Those students, unfortunately, their destiny has been already destroyed because they were not given any premise to survive, to succeed. Of no wonder they are becoming ready tools in the hands of the terrorists. So, inasmuch as I will not want to exonerate IPB from the destruction or calamity that have befallen Nigeria, of course, he contributed to greater extent why Nigeria is what it is today. for the very fact that he stole the mandate of Nigerians. He truncated the hope and aspirations of Nigerians by annulling the June 12, 1993 election. I wasn't, of course, at the voting age, but I knew what transpired because I was then in primary school. Yes, I understood what played out. I could tell the story myself. It's quite unfortunate that the hope and aspirations of Nigerians, the hope for a future and a better, prosperous, and egalitarian society was dashed. That was the beginning of the genesis of the retrogression and the lawlessness and negligence or not having regard for the rule of law because they felt that when they did the first one, nobody reacted. There was no consequences. They went on relaxing and believing that the power, they are still within the control of the power. No wonder 30 years down the line, there is a repeat of what played out in June 12th. This is not an annulment at this time. It was a clear snatching away, stealing of the people's mandate. Of course, one of the stalwarts in APC, Nasir El-Rufai, came to say that in essence, that P2B won the election. But it is needless because he was one of the mastermind of the election rigging, where the aspirations and hope of Nigerians was dashed. 30 years down the line, there is a repeat of history, which means Nigerians haven't learned from the past. Because you have to have the knowledge and understanding of the history of the past to build a better future or to know how you can take decisions concerning the future. Because Nigerians slept under the carpet what should have been ironed out and addressed, but unfortunately nobody cares. Because nobody cares. The evil perpetrators, the vultures, are still feeding on the lifeless carcasses of the Nigerian destinies and future, eating up their future. It's quite unfortunate and disturbing. What am I saying? Regardless of whatever may be anyone's personal opinion or position regarding this, among these evil, in quotes, leaders, evil in the sense that they knew what was right to do because of their selfish interests, failed to do it. One would have thought that Obasanjo, after assuming office or the leadership of the president, 1999, would have addressed this injustice. But he never did. He was not bothered about how, of course, the family of Abiola fared, which happens to be his brother. He felt he was beneficiary of this injustice and as such should remain mute and appear as if nothing happened. He never speak about the injustice done against MKO Abiola. It was Tinubu and other Yorubas were fighting for the injustice to be addressed, which eventually they secured the June 12th as a public holiday. Well, one might say it's just a dead, flogging a dead horse. It has no, of course, any impact or reviving what has been damaged. But, of course, that could show a sign of solidarity. Well, that notwithstanding, does Nigeria need such at this time? So it was only IBB. Among this has been described as vultures by Dele Farutimi, could come up and say, I must set the record straight. Obasanjo was a living witness. I don't know what Gowon was waiting to speak up, to tell his own story and the role he played in the genocidal war against the Biafrans, who were just innocent, has been expressed. If they say as a result of the coup, they fought the Igbos, then what is the justification today? IBB have come to say Igbos weren't responsible for the coup. And unfortunately, they were being massacred in the tens of thousands across the northern region, and the wide operation Wide West was also playing out. People were being displaced, killed, and this provocation led to the declaration of Biafra that if that is the way my people should be killed, of course, it is needless being part or integral of Nigeria. It is a total rejection of the Igbos because you can't claim we are the same country and you are killing the mothers, the children's, massacring, annihilating. That hatred was so much that Ojukwu could not bear it because he felt, and that was the reality, that Igbos have been threatened within the Nigerian configuration. Sadly, 50 something years down the line, the narrative has not changed. The Igbos are being perceived as the enemies of Nigeria. You begin to ask, under what circumstances, under what premise did they establish such? It was purely based on hatred, pure hatred, and enmity created by some vested interests. Even when they knew that that wasn't true, they kept mute because they are beneficiaries of the flow system. The fact that supplying the Igbos give them undue advantage, but unfortunately they have ruined the same Nigeria, handed over to them. And today, they cannot say that they are proud of the Nigeria that was handed to them. They have been managing. No one can claim to be happy. Or is it Obasanjo that have been lamenting that Nigeria is becoming a failing state under the watch of Ahmed Bola Tinubu? Of course, he wasn't a saint because he never did better. During his time, we recorded severe violations of fundamental human rights, the abuse of office. So he couldn't have any justification to condemn his fellow colleague or an accomplice to this same crime. So what am I saying? If IPP could come out and say the truth at this time, I think people should see beyond his perhaps criminal records or alleged criminal records and salute his courage. Because was what Obasanjo could not say, speak up. Gowon could not speak up because he was afraid of the known, even when he is almost closer to his grave. Of course, I'm not God. Perhaps he might live the next 100 years. I wish him all the best. But definitely, he will certainly leave. But I believe, perhaps, I hope it will not be in deep regrets for not speaking up the truth when it matters most. Danjuma was there, Theophilus Danjuma, and the rest of them. There are many of them who, fortunately, were alive up to this time, but have failed to tell the true narration of what played out. Today, Dim Chukwuemeka Odumegwu had been vindicated that he was right for defending the right to life of the Igbo people who have been massacred or considered as sacrificial lamb across the entire regions of this country. Unfortunately, this conspiracy is still playing out. I think with this position established by IBB, those conspirators will possibly go back to the drawing board and scheme how they could create strategy because they have already been exposed and the antis has come to naught. Just as the Bible says, speak the word, it shall not come to pass. Whatever incantation, imaginations, or divinations against Israel, Jacob will not stand. It's the fulfillment of the scripture, and it is happening before our very eyes. Now, if truly that was true, or perhaps he dares anyone, he damn the consequences and speak up the truth. Now, what would be the position of the Nigerian government? Because it's a declaration of war against the Nigerian government, something that was held as classical issues that should not be disclosed before the public domain today have been let out of the bag. And eventually, what will be the position of the Nigerian government today? If they have massacred over 5 million Biafrans for just demanding for the right to live, then Nigeria should be held responsible for the death of these innocent brothers, uncles, and families who lost their loved ones in a needless war, a war compelled by hostility, hatred, and deep-seated bitterness against a race that is blessed of God, and of course, and their Eastern brothers. Whatever be the case, Nigeria has been indicted by this revelation made by IPP today, perhaps with International Criminal Court of Justice, serve the right justice for the lost Igbo population that was massacred by the Nigerian military during the bloody civil war. With the Igbos demand for due compensation. Unfortunately, the people you call the Igbo leaders are part of the conspiracy of continued subjugation of the Igbos, just like the Ohanaezes, who have not proven their worth or their relevance as far as Igbo political fray is concerned or interest within the Nigeria. They have not defended such. So is that the same people that will come to defend the interests of the Igbos and demand for justice for the slain or massacred population of the Igbo people? But that, of course, being said, the issue remains that the Igbos today have been vindicated. And what is next line of action? Well, let's watch as things unfold. Whether there will be a recompense, a reconciliation, a compensation, an eventual change of mind, or perhaps allowing the Igbos to go. Igbos have not changed their mind, but Igbos, I mean the majority of the Easterners, have kept their composure, however odious and exacerbating. They have maintained their position, which is justified by all standards and all verification that they need Biafra. Biafra was the only thing that could pacify the dead and the living. They strongly believe you give them opportunity to aspire and live out their dreams in a home and a country they will be proudly called their own, and where their right to life and their life, right to dignity of life and the sanctity of life would be respected. And there is no other better time to consider this than now. Let's have your own take regarding this position and what you think could be the way forward. I remain Chigozim Debo, the analyst and anchor. It's a great pleasure having you this evening. Bye for now. But don't forget to hit the like button, share, and subscribe to this channel. Turn on the notification button so that you can have the videos whenever it's been uploaded. Thank you once again.